they had another request. Can you guess which one it was? So they wanted notifications, but not just the iOS and Android notifications. They wanted browser notifications. Because it turned out they won't install the apps on their phones because they want to separate work and private life. Okay, that's fine. But it was something we didn't really see coming. So the request was, okay, we need browser notification.
And our next guest, it's Hana from GitHub. And she'll tell us all about building a front end for building for the web and mobile in 2024. Thank you.
Hello again. Oh, do you hear me well? Okay, cool. Thank you very much for the introduction. And I'll start a bit uncharacteristically. So this is the name of my talk. I'm Hana. When you become a parent, you first go through a phase of total denial. When you think that everything will go as before, your life didn't change, there's just a little tiny person, but you will handle it and everything will work. Then the reality hits you, and you realize that nothing will be ever again as your life before. But as your kids grow, you come to realize that for the next 11 years of your life, you will be tightly linked to a school system in whatever country you are. School holidays, teachers, assignments, miscommunication, and that's the real horror. How many of you are parents here? And how many of you have kids at school? So you know what I'm talking about. Schools. For us, for our family, it was email missing, some information was coming out, printed, sent through the kids in their tiny backpacks. Some came through the city application where you needed to log in specifically. Other came per email. So good luck finding out at 7:43 what you need to pack to your kid in the morning for the day. You know, there are many communication apps which should simplify this problem and the communication between parents and school. But our school didn't want to use any of them until they got an opportunity to get a custom one made for them, where they could decide about all the features and permissions, because one of their main concerns was that it would be too easy for parents to get together and talk. And that's how Flamingo came to life, to keep all the school communication in one place and make sure that everyone gets the right information in time. So today I'd like to talk about lessons learned from this project and share some tips with you how to leverage the modern technology and making it way easier to have solutions for both the web and the mobile. So you already know a couple of things about me from yesterday, but let's do a really short guessing game. You will have 2 questions. First one, what do you think is this number? You can just shout. Birthday? Age of kids? Birthday of the kids? Okay. So my birthday in September, I have 2 kids, they're 4 and 7. So this is actually a number of female engineers on my team. Just saying, you know. So it's 5 engineers out of 9. And the next one, maybe you saw it or not, I like tea. What do you think, which is my favorite tea? Green matcha? Peppermint. Oh, that's not a tea, that's a herbal infusion. But it's not a bad one. Yeah, so it's usually Darjeeling First Flash, followed tightly by a Japanese green teas like Gyokuro or Genmaicha. Matcha is also good. Now, I want to start with a takeaway. So if there's just one thing I would like you to take away from this conversation, it would be when you build cool things with Rails, you can put just a bit more work and use the tooling we have, and you can build mobile apps for your users relatively easily and bring your users more engaging way how to use your product. But first, a bit of a theory. What is a PVA? Who heard about PVAs here? Very good. So PVA stands for Progressive Web Application. And the point is you have just one app, right? You have your Rails app, and it works as expected on all the devices. It doesn't require special bundling, and it needs a website manifest. We'll go back to that too. And then you have a hybrid app or hybrid approach. You have the main Rails application, where most of your code lives, but you also have native iOS and Android wrappers. So you would end up having 3 repositories, one for Rails, one for Kotlin, one for Swift. Again, it works on all devices, on web, tablets, and mobiles, but it does require separate bundling and distribution, and you can download it as an application on your phone. So if you would open the Flamingo website as a PVA, you open it in a browser, it looks like on the left side. So you can see it's just a website in a mobile view. When you open the same thing as an app, so you download it from the App Store or the Google version of that, you see that you already have like a native features implemented, like the title and the navigation. Then we said that the PVA needs a website manifest, right? So what it is? It's basically a JSON file with various specifications. The most important bits are the website name and also the icons, so the paths of your icons. Nothing super difficult. And in our case, it's an ERB file, so that we can use ERB, and it has its own controller action and the route, done in a Rails way. If we would like to compare PVAs and hybrid apps, you can see that PVAs need manifest and service worker, but hybrid apps necessarily don't. But with a hybrid app, you can use native features. For Flamingo, we actually went with everything, and I'll tell you later why. A big pro of hybrid app is that you can have business logic just in one place, in your main Rails app, and you don't have to triplicate it. You also need less coding hours, and the big advantage is that if you do a change, which you should do, especially at the beginning of your project, you don't have to go through bundling the native application, putting it in an app store, and then waiting for the people to download it. You just write it, push it, deploy it, and everyone has your change, because the backend is powered from your Rails app. So you get instant updates, and you can also have native notifications. And then you can use the native code just where you feel it makes most sense. So you can still go, if you have a view which needs to be very interactive or which would benefit from using like Bluetooth or camera, you can write that in a native way, but you can keep all the others and use the Rails views. Well, there are also cons. So you need to write some Swift and Kotlin, even if not much. You need to maintain 3 apps, even though 2 of them are small. And you still need to do app updates, even though not very often. So let's talk about the Flamingo app itself. What we thought we needed was like showing the news from the school, so that's all the information which is going quite one-directional from the school to the parents, or from the teachers to the parents. Then we wanted to have a chat feature, so our main models were like users and students and classes and all the messaging. We wanted that it works on mobile devices so that it's easy for the parents to use, and we were counting on implementing notifications on mobile devices, obviously. So that's why we decided to go with a hybrid approach and having those 2 native shells. So we ended up with these 3 repositories, and the nice thing is that we follow this book from Ayush Nevatia, which made our life way easier. He walks you through how to build those wrappers, even if you didn't do much Kotlin or Swift before. But there were also some surprises. and they were more of a product side. So when the first prototype was out and the school staff was asked to test it, they had another request. Can you guess which one it was? So they wanted notifications, but not just the iOS and Android notifications. They wanted browser notifications. Because it turned out they won't install the apps on their phones because they want to separate work and private life. Okay, that's fine. But it was something we didn't really see coming. So the request was, okay, we need browser notification. And because of that, we needed to implement another way how to provide those notifications. But first, let's look at the in-app notifications. So we used the gem Notice from Chris Oliver, which offers individual and bulk deliveries. And you see that there are many delivery methods supported. From all those, we use just the Firebase messaging. And since we implemented it, there's a new major version released with many cool features, but also very different. So I won't talk about how we use this gem, because by now, there's a new way how to do it. Firebase messaging is a cross-platform messaging solution, which lets you send messages at no cost. And so far, we are using their service for more than half a year, and we didn't get any bill, so it seems to be true. Now let's look at the browser notifications. So what we wanted are these kind of web push notifications. It's delivered via user's browser. So you get them where the website can be closed, but the browser obviously has to be running. And it can hold some interesting information about the message, who sent it, or the title, or you can also get a preview of the message itself. What do you need for that? So we need the service worker, the push API, and the push server. That's why I said at the beginning that even though we went with a hybrid approach, we ended up having the service worker and the manifest, and that was because we needed this browser notifications at the end. So there's another gem which can help you with this. It's from Pushpad, and it's called Web Push. And it enables you to work with so-called VAPID keys. So those are voluntary application server identification. And you need them for the push notification ecosystem. And they identify the server that sends the push notification to the client's browser securely. So it works with the public and private keys. So we need a service worker which uses the push API and communicates with the push server. It listens to the push and push subscription change events, and which come from the browser API, and then it updates the subscription in our Rails API. So what we needed was that the browser supports the notification itself. You need the permission to grant it to show those notifications. You also need browser supporting those service workers, and finally, you need to have your service worker installed and active. Most of this logic lives in a push stimulus controller, and it's a long one, so I won't present it here. But what we did, in our settings, we show the state of the notifications, and if you click on the details, for us as a developers, we just listed all the information to know if all these 4 conditions are fulfilled, so that we can debug easier. At some point, we will remove that, but we kept it there. And now, how many of you know about Hotwire? You're going to conferences, so yeah, that's nice. We also make use of a Hotwire. For us, we use TurboFrame to edit forms in a place. We make use of Turbo Streams when we want to append a new message to the chat. We use broadcasting when we want to show new incoming news or chat conversations appearing. So all these things which you know from Rails, you can use also in your web apps with a hybrid approach. And now, let's talk about some tips. Publish your applications early. So the review may take a couple of days. For iOS applications, you need to install Xcode. You need to have an Apple developer account, which needs to be approved. You will need the screenshots of your app for multiple devices and the description. And you need to build the app for a release and then update it. For the Android, it's pretty similar. You also need to configure the app for the release. You need a specific tool, Android Studio, for that. You need to build the release version of your app, and again, screenshots and description. So in our case, this wasn't that long, like it took like 2 to 4 days, but you need to count with it. So once you know what, for example, your navigation should look like, you can put the icons there, you can publish those apps for you to test them, even though if you don't have all the information ready or all the views ready. Because once you have it in your app, once you do the changes in your Rails app, it will just work. And you don't have to go through this painful process again. We did this, for example, with the calendar view. We knew, like, in the navigation, you have like news and messages, and then calendar, classes, and settings. And the calendar was not the highest priority when we started with the app. We wanted to ship it early. So even though we didn't have that implemented, we were like, okay, we have like a school Google Calendar. We can just put it there. People see something. We have the app structure ready. And once we implement the feature, they will just see the new thing. Also, you can benefit from the browser push services. As I mentioned, each browser manufacturer has their own implementation of the push service. For native notifications, we need the Firebase. But for browser notifications, we don't need it, because the push service is gifted to you. It comes with the browser. So it's, in a way, it's easier. It just needs a lot of JavaScript. And this is example of push notification services where our app registered. So that means that our users were actually using all of these browsers to get their notifications, and they subscribe to them. And as we talked about it a couple of times during this conference, one of the biggest advantages of Rails is the development speed and short feedback cycles. That's what we all love about Rails. So if you follow these tips and you can commit your changes and just deploy, everyone will get the newest version of your app, also in the mobiles. So you don't need to wait for the updates, and you don't need to wait for users to update. Especially in the early time of the life of your app, this is super useful. Because you have a little bug, okay, they write me, I fix it, in half an hour, it's just fixed. Or it's like a little improvement, a little enhancement. You want to test the things. This speeds you up extremely. Now, what about the future? When I was writing this talk proposal back in March, I looked at different issues in Rails, which were promising more PVA support out of the box. Right, this was the one. We will get default PVA files. When I checked last time, there is a service worker file, which is commented out. So, like, it's a good start, but it doesn't really make it clear what will be the support of the PVA and what the state is. There's also one issue open about extracting the action notifier. So that's where we use the gem, the notified gem. So eventually, if we would have out-of-box solution for notifications in Rails, that would be awesome. But there's no sign that this work is happening right now. Maybe it's like somewhere hidden, and it will be a big revelation in a week. But right now, we don't know. So what does the future hold in Rails on mobile on mobile devices? In February 15 this year, there was this article about Apple killing home screen web applications in US, the support for them. In March 1st, they reversed that solution. Or that decision, because, well, apparently people complained. So it came back, but what does it mean? Will the support stay? Is the long-term solution? It's not clear. There doesn't seem to be commitment to support progressive web apps long-term. And so this uncertainty about the supportability in future may be one of the reasons of relatively low adoption of PWAs. But there is an advantage because they're very easy to set up, and with just 2 or more files, you can use a lot of the browser support. For the hybrid apps, it's a bit more hassle to get them started, so you need to create an Android app and the iOS app and submit them. But once you have it, you can provide your users way better experience. Everyone's used to mobile applications today. That's just how it works. And we have a lot of tools to support us. So it's this notice gem, it's web push gem, we have the book, which guides you through implementation. We have Turbo and we have Stimulus. And maybe you are asking, is there something missing? What about Strada, right? I heard that's also something with the native things. Should I use it? Should I not? Well, maybe you should. We didn't use it yet because we didn't feel the need. Maybe as the app develops, we can look into implementing more native features with the Strada. But we were able to achieve what we needed even without it. So if Rails 8 will fulfill its promises, having out-of-box solution for notifications would be both beneficial for PWAs and hybrid apps. But we don't know. But anyways, I would say that the feature is bright, with or without Rails PWA support, because already today you can build both applications for web and mobiles with a little bit of work. So here are the resources which I mentioned during the talk. And thank you for your attention.